Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Weather Central forecast. You guys are having a fantastic day. Now, in today's forecast, we will be going over possibly a big, major severe weather outbreak that could be occurring just over 100 hours out from now. I do want to start off, though, by really emphasizing that this is over 100 hours away. So, really, anything that we're looking at here is speculations based off of model guidance. This isn't really an official forecast because this very well could happen, but there's also still a really good chance that the models could die down with these parameters for this system, and it could just be a typical thunderstorm event. So just take this video with a grain of salt. Obviously, this is going to be going over those parameters for this possible severe weather outbreak. Before I do start off with this forecast, I do want to start off with a disclaimer that these forecasts are my opinion. They're based off of model guidance and past occurrences of weather. For the most accurate and up-to-date weather, please consult your local National Weather Service office, as they will have more accurate and up-to-date information than I will, especially on these major weather events throughout the United States. I hope you guys do enjoy this forecast. Now, before we do start, I do want to say please like and subscribe, as this will help my forecast get out to as many of you guys as possible, so we can help keep everybody weather aware in the United States. And without further ado, let's go ahead and look at my preliminary look for this system. So here is my preliminary look for this system. In this red, basically just a general thunderstorm risk at this time. Like I said, it's really too far to go into too much detail, but one reason why the mid-Atlantic off to the southeast coast here is just in a red is because that is way farther out than this initial system right here. So it's really just, the predictability is just too low to really pick up what this might actually be. Obviously, some Cape values are showing decent amounts of Cape, but it's really far out. But right now, we're seeing very high concentrations of Cape in these purple and pink regions here. That is in for parts of Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas, into some parts of the northwest part of Tennessee, into the southwest part of Kentucky there. So we're really just going to have to monitor this very closely. Right now, it does look like we're going to have a low up here to the north with some precip, and it's going to move down, and we're going to get some Gulf moisture up into this system as well. And it's just going to spark some big instability and a lot of moisture there. So let's go ahead and go over to our analyses and models for this system. So here we are today with our temperature analysis. This is on the Pivotal Weather site, so credits to them. Very warm day off into parts of the west here. You can see 87 into parts of Los Angeles. Very cold up into the northeast, as we did see that April Fool's snowstorm. Very, very cold temperatures. Some places not even getting above freezing today. Kind of mild into most of the central United States up into the Midwest. Just west of that region, though, we can see a nicer day than what you saw yesterday. You're seeing 60s and some lower 70s as you get down into parts of Texas here. We did see 60s up to even 82 down into extreme parts of southern Florida, but generally Florida stayed under 70 for most of those areas. And just, pretty mild day overall for the United States. Obviously, we did have a very cold region today and a very warm region, but nothing, too out of the ordinary. So here we are on the GFS to kind of look at the setup for this event. You can see we have multiple lower pressure systems within a short vicinity of each other. You can see we have some precip, with these lower pressure systems here. You can see we have precip getting all the way down into parts of the south central United States here, all the way back up into parts of eastern Montana. You can see this really will become more of a snow event up to the north here during the night, but then once it turns to daytime, you will get that, rain, at least is what it's looking like right now. We have, a good region that it is covering here, but you can see we do have a dry slot here, which is really going to allow for that instability to stay throughout these regions here, because you won't have that rain to really eat down that instability. We're also going to have some Gulf moisture getting put up into the system. We're going to see a big spark of moisture here. We'll look at precipitable water values in just a second here, just to see how much moisture as of right now is associated with this system. But you can see a low does develop into parts of south central Missouri here, a 992 low pressure, and that's really going to be, charging for the eastern United States. Oops, didn't mean to move it on. You can see some very heavy rainfall. Even let's see where this low does develop. You can see some very heavy rainfall making its way up into Missouri, all the way down to parts of Louisiana, all the way up into parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, up into the Ohio Valley. So precip and moisture is not looking like it's going to be starved from the system. It looks like it's actually going to be very precipitation and moisture, rich throughout this event. So it's really going to, be possibly dangerous if these Cape values and significant tornado parameters do line up, because then that means you're looking at some very heavy rain-wrapped tornadoes. But like I said, this is really all just speculation at this point because it is still well over 100 hours out. But you can see that does move off to the East Coast, and at this point we're just approaching 200 hours out from now. So that's why there's still so much uncertainty with this eastern portion of this event. But right now the setup is looking fairly decent. We're gonna have a lot of warm Gulf air. That's really just going to spark off a lot of instability throughout these areas. So let's go ahead and go over to our precipitable water. So here we are with precipitable water. Now, if you guys are not familiar with what this is, basically, if you were to squeeze out all of the moisture out of the atmosphere, this is how much would be falling out of the sky. So if you're above, generally if you're above 1.4, you're looking at, some flash flooding and some very heavy rainfall possibly, which is looking like a good region of the United States here. This is hour 132. We're going to move this on, though, to where this event does occur. You can see we're already starting to get a decent amount of precipitable water values lining up for parts of the tornado alley, which is definitely scary because, obviously, as you guys know, once these storms do develop up into tornado alley, they have a good predictability of becoming tornadoes because that's what tornado alley is known for, as you guys know. We can see we have a decent concentration extending up from Arkansas all the way back down into parts of southeastern Texas there. We're having values just around 1.8 inches there. We're going to move this on even more. You can see we're going to get a lot of precipitable water line up into parts of eastern Texas here. We're seeing that isolated red is where you are seeing over 2.15 inches, which is very significant rainfall, and a lot of moisture will be available for this event. You can see we have a defined dry line here, and as you guys know, once that dry line does move over your area, all that instability will not be used because there will not be that moisture. So your severe weather chances are very limited as that dry line moves over you. But just right on that boundary, just east of that dry line boundary, you're looking at some possibly very heavy rainfall, supercell development, very possible, really possible. Like I said, just east of that dry line. Let's move this on even more. You can see there still is a lot of moisture into the southeast as well. We're really going to move this on. You can see that dry line really move in and take over most of these regions that were getting affected by this. So it does look like once this system does move out, if it is a very significant event that did damage a lot of areas, you guys will have some time to recover from this event, is what it's looking like. But still very heavy or high precipitable water values available for the eastern United States. You can see very high precipitable water values into parts of southern Georgia there, and that dry line moves off onto those areas, and then it moves off the coast, and you're pretty much done with this event after hour 222, which is still very far out. So that's why we're really gonna have to monitor this in the next coming days. So we're gonna look at two more parameters for this event. First of all, we're going to be looking at CAPE, which is the convective available potential energy. Then we'll be looking at temperatures throughout this event. So first, like I said, we're starting off with the CAPE. Basically, this is the strength for the thunderstorms. The more CAPE you have, the stronger thunderstorms that you will have developed. You can see right here we have a good amount of CAPE lining up into parts of the Midwest, exceeding 500 joules per kilogram. Definitely enough to spark off some severe thunderstorms. As you move the frame on here, another 3 hours, you're getting just shy of 2,000 joules per kilogram, concentrated into parts of eastern Nebraska, there you can see it really becomes defined and exceeds 2,000 joules per kilogram there. Very, possibly bad severe weather throughout those regions. But what we're really going to be focusing on is this second wave of CAPE that does make its way into the, right there. I was looking on this on models earlier. Is this secondary wave of CAPE that will be making its way up into parts of the Ozarks, down into Arkansas, extending down into parts of Texas. We're seeing CAPE just on this max is showing just shy of 4,000 joules per kilogram, which showing showing that high concentration of CAPE this far out is really alarming for these regions, because obviously the higher CAPE is going to develop those supercells and tornadoes. It's going to be a lot of instability likely throughout these areas. And it's going to be something that we're going to want to monitor very closely because that could be a possible tornado outbreak. Hence why my biggest severe weather region as of right now is right here, because we really are monitoring that very high Cape value that the models are showing down into parts of Fort Smith, Fort Smith, Arkansas, all the way down to some parts just north and east of Dallas, Texas, and the Fort Worth area. And as it moves its way off to the east, the predictability really becomes too low at that point. Cape values right here aren't looking very impressive. But like I said, we're really going to have to monitor this area right here, as they were showing some very high Cape values, which could lead to some very deadly tornadoes and very strong thunderstorms. Obviously, like I've said multiple times in this video, this is all, speculation of this event. So it really, this all could die down in the next model run. We don't really know. But that's why we're going to have to really keep on monitoring this system. So here we are, the frame before this system does start. You can see here we are looking at the 2-meter temperatures. This is a little far out, for temperatures to really pick up, but we have a good idea of what this event is going to hold. We can see we have 60s in a broad, general, wide region for the United States. That's really going to, help that instability to really stay there for this event. You can see we have a big spark of 80s that is trying to move up into parts of Nebraska, up into Iowa, where we did see those high Cape values, concentrated up in those areas. We can see just shy of 90 degrees up into, western Kansas there. It's really going to, spark that instability as it does move eastward. We're seeing 90s, a good region of 90s actually, where you're seeing those, darkish reds and browns there. And that's really just going to move east as this, that's really just going to move east as the event does occur. You can see we're getting 90s up into parts of southern Oklahoma here, and that's really what's going to spark that very high Cape just east of that, which is that instability that was being shown on those models there. You can see a lot of warm air to work with, and then once night falls, we're gonna get that cold air and some warm temperatures the day after. But you're like the precipitable water was showing, you're gonna have a very prolonged time to